bunch, affordability, and it deals with what I call a silent issue. It's obviously something that faces people that are on fixed incomes, but more now we see our entire economy is complaining about affordability. Costs have gone up, but wages haven't. And so it's a challenge for many Americans. Today, we're going to talk about ways to deal with inflation, the fact that the prices keep going up. Next, there's three foundation blocks that are driving retirement planning today. And we've talked about these before. Longevity, the fact that we're living much longer. If you're a 65 today and a woman, you've got a 20-year life expectancy. That's 85. If you're a man, you've got an 18-year life expectancy. But those are averages, and many people are living well beyond the mid-80s into their 90s, some over 100. So longevity is an issue. Our money has to last as long as we do. The second major factor is the one we're going to focus on today, inflation. I call it a silent issue because most of us plan our daily activities based on where we're at today. What income do we have coming in? What are the bills? How are we going to cover those bills? We think in terms of today. But if we're going to have a long retirement, inflation is going to play a burden on that. It's going to affect our savings and our standard of living. And that's the third leg. When do we create a lifestyle? And it's while we're working. Most of us, while we're working, we can pay the bills, we travel, we buy things, and we feel comfortable because we have income coming in from work. But when many people retire, that income stops. And with it, we're now faced with the challenge of how do I support that lifestyle going forward? And so these three factors tie together. Longevity, we're living longer. Inflation, lifestyle keeps getting more expensive. And finally, the fact that we've defined a lifestyle that we want to maintain. Next. So last week we talked about how three different ways to pay for retirement. For most of us, it's going to come from one of three sources. It's going to come from our homes, which are usually a huge part of the equity we've built up. If you bought and paid for your mortgage, paid it off, you have a nest egg that can help support your retirement. The second leg is what most people have today. If you're retiring from a business or from a job, more than likely you have a 401k or an IRA. And these funds are pre-tax funds that have to carry us through retirement. And then the third source are income sources. And we talked about a number of ways of generating income last week. We'll expand on that this week, talking about ways to offset inflation. Next. So today what I want to do is talk about kind of establishing a plan for inflation. And these are some of the strategies that we see our clients using to offset the impact of inflation over a long period of time. We're going to talk about ways to redefine a lifestyle. We're going to talk about investments in 401k and IRAs, investments, and we'll talk about that from a risk and a tax standpoint. And then we'll talk about other ways to create income to offset inflation. Next. So redefining lifestyle. This too, essentially, you can step up and face inflation and plan for it and create an economic base that supports your lifestyle as you go forward. And that long-term plan needs to take into account the cost or the impact of inflation over time. Now, some people go in a different direction. Some people downsize. They look for ways to reduce their financial footprint so that their cost of living is less. It might involve moving to a lower cost area in the country. Some people might actually relocate outside of the United States. There are places like Mexico, Costa Rica, Portugal, places where expatriates move where the cost of living is substantially lower. And it allows them to essentially use the resources they currently have to sustain a lifestyle. Next. When it comes to IRAs and 401ks, if we don't plan ahead, we need to get more money out of those financial bases. And there's two ways to do that. The first way is to increase risk. If you take on more risk in your portfolio, you can generate higher outcomes in the future, and that can offset the cost of inflation. And so many people are, instead of reducing risk, are actually looking at increasing risk. There's new opportunities in things like Bitcoin and gold and precious metals that can offset the impact of inflation as we move forward. The second phase is tax planning. Since most of us have 401ks and IRAs, those bases are taxable. And we touched on this last week. There are ways to take a portion of your IRA or 401k and generate from it a lifetime income stream that can be used to support your lifestyle. If you set one of these programs up, after 10 or 11 years, the program actually moves from being taxable to tax-free. So if you fund an income source with IRA dollars, you can eventually convert those IRA dollars from taxable to a Roth IRA, and at that point, they become tax-free. We show our clients how to do this every day using the tools that we have in our arsenal. Next. The third way to offset inflation, and we're going to talk more about this in the coming weeks, one of them is maximizing Social Security. Social Security is a lot more complex than most people understand. You have many choices of benefit choices that you can choose from, and you have the choice of when to claim. And the timing of claiming affects how much you'll get from Social Security over your lifetime. If you're married and you're the primary breadwinner in a family, maximizing Social Security is not only important for your own well-being, but because spouses, if your spouse outlives you, and if your benefit is higher than your spouse's, they step up to a higher Social Security benefit. So the timing and the claiming options you select affect not only your benefits, but also your spouse's in the future. We're seeing a trend among our clients. Many are working longer. The longer you work, that puts less strain on your retirement funds. We also find that the people at work stay active in business, they exercise their minds, and it can have a health impact on your lifestyle in retirement. Working longer is a good thing, not a bad thing, but you have to find a job that is not stressful, one that's enjoyable. Many of our clients are using CDs, bonds, and dividends to support lifestyle. And there are ways to ladder CDs and to generate income coming from CDs. And if you ladder CDs, you have new CDs coming due every year, and you can reinvest them hopefully at higher interest rates. Many of our clients are involved in rental properties. They use that to defray their cost of living. The last option that we use within our practice is laddering annuities. You can take a portion of your savings, put it into an annuity, and generate a lifetime stream of income from the annuity. If you're married, you can set it up so it's joint life. It pays out whether you're alive or whether your spouse is alive. The annuities that we write usually pay out all of the funds that are invested over a 10 or 11 year period, much like Social Security. With Social Security, after about 10 or 11 years of claiming, you've received back everything you paid in plus what your employer paid in over your working career. Well, the same thing is true with annuities. You fund them, and then they start to pay out. And many of our clients prefer the safety of fixed annuities over variable. Fixed annuities go up when the market goes up, but they don't correct when the market goes down. So it's a safe investment. Usually the interest rates are a little bit better than what you can get on CDs. But the more important factor is income. You can generate lifetime income from an annuity. Well, what does laddering mean? Some of our clients will set up multiple annuities. And like light switches, when you enter a room, if you need light, you turn on one of the light switches. If you need more, you turn on a second switch. And so annuities, you can turn on and activate the income, the lifetime income that's available, one at a time. If you have a series of these, you can turn them on, and the additional income that's generated by turning on a second or third annuity can offset the rising cost of living that are caused by inflation. So we have a number of choices to make as we move into retirement. We can downsize our lifestyle, relocate to a lower cost of living area. We can take on additional risk in our investments, which can then hopefully offset the cost of inflation. Or you can look into generating more income in retirement. And if you have questions on generating income, that's a key part of our practice, helping our clients generate peace of mind where the income that they're deriving, the lifestyle that they're supporting is guaranteed, it's built in. Next. So, other retirement potholes. There's some other important topics that we want to cover in the coming weeks. Next time, we're going to talk about your financial future. We're going to talk about what it's like to build a 20 or 30-year retirement model. It's not as complex as it sounds. It's based on assets, income, and expenses. When you factor in taxes and you factor in inflation, building a financial model can give you an understanding of where you're going to be 10, 20, or 30 years into the future. What's the advantage to having a financial model? You can make small changes now that improve your financial outcome in the future. You have insights into where you're going to end up. The week after that, we're going to talk about strategies for maximizing Social Security. After that, we'll talk about understanding Medicare. Most of us will rely on Medicare for our health care and retirement. And so we'll spend a topic talking about how to make important Medicare choices. They're long-term. They affect your long-term medical expenses. We'll spend a week talking about paying less tax. We live in a very complex tax system in the United States, and understanding it allows us to make decisions that help pay less tax down the road legally. We'll spend some time talking about long-term care. This is another silent topic. It's one of the topics people don't like talking about, but when it happens, it can be financially devastating. We'll talk about strategies using federal programs like Medicaid and VA benefits to help defray the cost of long-term care. There's also different private products, insurance products that can help defray the cost of long-term care. It's one of those topics that needs to be discussed. And we'll talk about ways to preserve assets and pay for long-term care. And then our final topic that we want to address is protecting your wishes. Most of us have wishes of how we want our assets spent and managed while we're alive and who we want them to go to after we die. We're going to spend some time talking about basic legal documents that everyone needs to protect their wishes while they're alive, and more importantly, after they pass away, how to pass assets without going through probate, the legal process of transferring ownership on assets. So we've got some important topics coming up: financial planning, maximizing Social Security, making some important Medicare choices, paying less tax, knowing how to avoid long-term care expenses, and finally protecting your wishes, having the right legal house in order. Next. Thank you for joining us today. Our consultations are always free. You can visit our website, srctexas.com, or call us at the phone number that's up on the screen and call and ask for an appointment. We're happy to answer any questions on any topic related to retirement, tax, long-term care, or estate planning. Have a great week. We'll talk next week. Goodbye.